There once was a church with a very large door. Every Sunday morning, at the door stood an usher. He was there to welcome those who came to church and to share with them the hospitality of the congregation. He was to be as helpful as humanly possible to every person who came into the church. On a particular Sunday, some might say peculiar Sunday morning, two families approached the door at exactly the same time. One family presented very well. They were all dressed in clothes reflecting the latest fashion trends. Their labels were all the right labels. The father exuded confidence. The mother had the prerequisite bling. The kids looked great. The usher saw them and nearly fell over himself in welcoming them. Yes, sir, this, and yes, ma'am, that. He allowed compliments to flow like a river and buttering up like an ever-flowing stream. They were shown a place in the sanctuary where they could be seen by all, not too close to the front, not too far back. And they were assured that if they needed anything, all they had to do was ask. The second family was a Hispanic family. They were dressed in the best clothes they had, but they were simple and plain. They struggled with English and kept looking down, a posture they had learned in their years since coming to this country. The children seemed fascinated with the carvings and the narthex, and they allowed their fingers to move over the symbols and faces brought out of the wood by the wood carvers. The usher saw them and wondered what to do. They barely spoke English, and the morning bulletin would be a waste of paper to them. They were obviously going to stick out no matter where he placed them. His greatest fear was that after the service they would panhandle the congregation for money. So he showed them to a seat in the corner where he could keep an eye on them and help them quickly exit the sanctuary at the end of the service. That is how today's assigned portion of the letter of James begins. I've given it to you in a more parabolic form, but it is essentially the same. James takes on the issues of favoritism and partiality with his brothers and sisters in the first century church. 20 centuries later, the words still have an uncomfortable ring of truth about them. The simple truth is that we are all people of partiality, and much of the time it serves us well. We make choices all the time, and we have to if we're going to survive. We choose the teams we will root for. By the way, this Thursday evening, interfaith relations in Evansville may take quite a hit as the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots face off. The rabbi is coming to my house. He is a Patriot fan. He will be greeted by a 10-foot inflatable Steeler on the front lawn of my home. We choose where to invest our money and time in order to make a difference in our world and in our souls. We choose issues and positions to which we can offer our full support. We choose candidates that reflect our hopes and our dreams for our communities. Showing favoritism and partiality is simply a part of what it means to be who we are in the world. But that's not what the letter of James is talking about. James has far more serious concerns. I think James would readily agree that there are certain favoritisms and personalities and partialities that are simply a part of our lives. However, when it comes to being the church, when it comes to being the community of Christ, there is no place for the distinctions the world too quickly assigns, and there is no place for the discrimination and prejudice the world seems to practice with amazing frequency. There is no place at all within the community of the risen Christ for any form of partiality or predilection. There is no place at all within the Church of Jesus Christ for penchants and prejudices the world practices with its patterns of predictability. How'd you like that one? There's no place at all. Now, if you read enough psychology and enough philosophy, you will discover that there are two things that every human being wants. Can you guess what they are? Every human being wants to be loved. And every human being wants to be respected. If Jesus taught us anything, in word and action, it was to love God and to love neighbor. James is telling us that our love for God and neighbor must necessarily be put into action so that the world around us can see with absolute clarity the way of God in the midst of the chaos of the world's way. As God's people, in every aspect of our lives and living, we are to be people whose love for God and for neighbor is without question. And as God's people, that love must take on unmistakable life and action. And be sure you get this. It's not enough to say that we believe in Jesus' message of love. It is not enough to give our assent and agreement. It is simply not enough to embrace Jesus' message of love and encouragement as a good idea. If we are to be the people of the risen Christ, we must be people that bring love made known to the world in Jesus Christ into action again and again and again. In the simplicities and in the complexities of life, we must incarnate, put into flesh, the love of God made known in Jesus Christ. Without the embodiment of God's love in all that we do, our faith is dead. Incarnating the love of God in all that we do, our faith comes to life. At this table, we gather to be nourished in the life of love. We take the bread and the wine, and we remember the one who taught us love for God and love for neighbor. He did not merely use these words. He used his life. And that is what we are to do. Faith in word alone is not enough. Faith must find its way into action and expression. St. Ignatius of Antioch taught us a very, very long time ago. We are asked not merely to call ourselves Christian. We are asked to be Christians through our deeds. James puts it this way. So faith by itself is dead. If it has no works, it's dead. Faith without tangible expression is dead. I'm a child of old westerns. My father loved them. A week without John Wayne is almost unimaginable to me. In all those old westerns, remember the poster? Wanted, dead or alive. How's your faith? How's mine? How's ours? It's the question of the day. Is our faith dead or alive? The answer to that question is life itself, for now and evermore. Amen.